Welcome back. Last time, we talked about the foundational steps: finding a home church, immersing yourself in a positive community, and talking with a doctor. You'll need your notebook for this session, and I hope you've already started creating a daily and weekly schedule.
Good schedule.
Keeps you busy, focused on positive, spiritual activities. All right, get your notebook ready for step 1, forgiveness. I want you to open up to Matthew chapter 18. Verse 21 through 35. Jesus tells a powerful story about an unforgiving servant. These are the words of God, given to us to understand spiritual laws. The story goes like this. A king wanted to settle accounts with his servants. A man who owed an impossibly huge debt, 10,000 bags of gold, was brought before him. The servant fell on his knees and begged, "Be patient with me, and I will pay back everything." The king took pity on him, cancelled the entire debt. He went out and found a fellow servant who owed him a much smaller amount, just 100 silver coins. He grabbed him, started choking him, and demanded, he had the man thrown into prison until he could pay. When the other servants saw this, they were outraged and told the king. The king called the first servant back and said, "You wicked servant, I cancelled all that debt of yours because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant just as I had on you?" In his anger, the master handed him over to be tortured until he could pay back everything he originally owed. And Jesus concludes by saying, "This is how my heavenly Father will treat each of you unless you forgive your brother or sister from your heart." Now, in your notebook, I want you to take some time. Go back as far as you can remember and write down everything that has ever been done wrong to you. List it all out. Don't rush this. Next, on a separate set of pages, do the same thing, but this time, list everything that you have done wrong to others. Again, take your time and list as much as you can, too. Then, I want you to be bold. Something symbolic with this list. The next time you're at church and there's an altar call, go down to the altar. Get on your knees. Maybe you've never bent your knees to God before. This is a perfect time to recognize His authority and love in your life. Lay those pages, the wrongs done to you and the wrongs you've done, right there on the altar. Symbolically, this is the feet of Jesus, too. In that moment, ask Him to help you forgive every single person who has wronged you. And ask Him to forgive you for everything you've done. Believe in your heart that God is willing and able to take this immense weight off your shoulders. When you stand up with a clean slate. Then rip up those pages and throw them away. Your past is gone. Today is a new day. Why would you hold on to your past? Do you feel like your identity is wrapped up in your past pain? Letting go is the first real step toward freedom. Now, let's talk about some common sense approaches to staying clean. Remember this: life equals choice, and choice equals life. Your choices create your life. Here are some practical actions to schedule into your week. Visit a physician. Destroy all substance paraphernalia. Avoid people who still use alcohol and drugs. Pray and meditate on a Bible verse daily. Avoid bars, clubs, and parties where you used to use. And most importantly, stop using all mood-altering substances, including caffeine for now. Visit different churches until you find a home and start making new friends there. Go to recovery meetings to find another community that understands. Start to identify your specific addictive behaviors. Avoid your triggers. Will talk more about that in a second. Use thought-stopping techniques for cravings. Attend these sessions weekly. Get a sponsor or a mentor. Exercise every day. Discuss your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors honestly in a group setting. Volunteer and make new friends while doing good for others. And above all, be truthful with yourself and with others. Let's dive deeper into triggers. A substance is anything that affects your mood. This includes caffeine and even cannabis. You can Google what a spider's web looks like when it's under the influence of caffeinate SMS. Staying completely substance-free helps your brain rebalance and heal from your main substance of choice. Be careful not to just trade one substance for another. Triggers are the people, places, objects, feelings, and even times of day that cause cravings. For example, if every Friday night someone cashes their paycheck, goes out with friends, and uses substances, the triggers are everywhere. Friday night, the feeling of being done with work, having money in your pocket, the friends who use, the bar or club. Your brain has built a powerful association between these triggers and using. Over time, just one of these triggers can set off the whole chain reaction. It's a cycle. Trigger leads to thought, which leads to craving, which leads to use. It can feel completely overwhelming. Stopping this process is a vital part of recovery. So, what do? First, identify your specific triggers. Write them down. Second, prevent exposure to those triggers whenever possible. This means avoiding certain people, places, and things for a while. Third, you must learn to cope with triggers differently. For instance, instead of going to a bar on Friday night, schedule a recovery meeting or a coffee with a new, sober friend. Remember, your sincere intention to stop must be translated into real behavior changes. These changes are what will protect you from your triggers. So, take a moment right now. What are some of the strongest triggers for you? What specific trigger might be a problem for you in the near future? Plan for it now. This leads us to what I call the losing argument. When you decide to stop using, but find yourself moving toward it anyway. 2. It's because your brain has given you permission through a process called relapse justification. An argument starts in your head. Your rational self versus your substance-dependent self. You feel like you're in a fight, constantly having to come up with reasons to stay clean, while your mind is secretly looking for just one excuse to use again. How many times in the past has your substance dependence won this argument? Those thoughts eventually become cravings. A thought of using might just pass through your mind with little effect at first. But it's so important to identify these thoughts and stop them in their tracks. It takes effort, but allowing yourself to dwell on thoughts of using is essentially choosing to relapse. The further you let those thoughts go, the more likely you are to use. We've intentionally made these weekly videos short. Please, go back and review every instruction from today. Meditate on them throughout the week. Don't skip ahead or try to rush this process. Aim to go to church twice a week and find recovery meetings for Friday and Saturday nights. Keep your schedule tight on the other days. Following each of these points will lead you toward the spiritual and mental clarity that brings peace of mind and real joy. Giving your past to Jesus is the first step. Let go of all bitterness, guilt, and shame. We've talked about avoiding triggers. Next week, we're going to get even more practical and talk about how to recognize, stop, and replace those unhealthy thoughts before they take hold. Thanks for watching. Please take this week, one day at a time. I'll see you in the next video.